and gentlemen, welcome to the most spectacular show in the history of Fontaine. Please put your hands together for our national icon, Fontaine's biggest celebrity, one of the 7 archons of Tibet, the Regina of all mourners, kindreds, peoples, and laws, Farina the Fontaine!
Aside from the normal warning, something else I should quickly clarify is that this content is also mostly from 2025. This video is mostly just a safety net in case I can't get a video for the Wednesday of the fortnight. Risk of being jumped because of my words. Farina isn't an Archon, and that is exactly what makes her the second most interesting Archon in my opinion. When we arrive in Fontaine, we are greeted by hostility from Farina, and we are luckily saved by Linny. Throughout the Fontaine Archon quest, we uncover that Farina is hiding a secret, before it is revealed that Farina isn't the Hydra Archon at all. This is when the line, "Wait, I still need answers," is said by the Traveler, which because of the fandom has become completely misunderstood. So that's what we're here to talk about today. Okay, well, based on technicality, Farina is part Archon. The Hydra Archon folklores gave Farina part of her divine power in order for her to play the role of a Hydra Archon for 500 years. This is a further of the same respect of an Archon. That doesn't mean we should call Farina an Archon. As the Orcatrice declares Farina and the Hydra Archon guilty into execution, Farina starts to be taken somewhere. Traveler jumps to her saying that they soon need answers. This is where the problems actually begin. Whereas the fandom, which is filled with Fontaine glazers and Farina apologists, because how dare their precious white girl be in the wrong, claim the line is about the Traveler wanting to find their sibling, being under the argument that they aren't saving Farina because it's Farina, because, like how they say of Nahida, because she's a Nahida. In reality, the reason the Traveler was so keen on helping Nahida was simply because she was the next Archon. Couldn't exactly ask about their sibling without Nahida being free. This was strictly not one of the obstacles they faced with Farina. The line, "Wait, I still need answers," isn't even about the Traveler's sibling, but rather about Fontaine and its prophecy. This is evidenced by the fact that directly after this line is said, the Traveler gets answers about Farina, folklores, and the prophecy. Farina isn't even the first Archon that has started off in an antagonistic position, or alternatively stated, against the Traveler. Archon such as the Electric Archon E, who ran Inazuma as a dictatorship in order to support her ideal of eternity. He is not treated as a helpless white girl. Yet people claim that Inazuma has worse writing. I mean, probably, but at least you understand who the antagonist is. So in conclusion, Farina isn't an Archon. Who that is a disgrace to her character. It's like going up to a victim of a crime and labeling them victim of robbery, and introducing them like that everywhere you go. Being robbed does not make it part of your personality. Okay. Natlin is hiding a secret from you. Now, we should all know that during Natlin, the Pirate Traveler was treated different to how the other elemental resonations of the Traveler were, where they had just to go to a statue of the 7 to gain the element. Instead, the Pirate element required the Natlin Archon quest to be complete in order to be able to resonate with the pyro element. Now, something you might not know is that certain talents have lore hidden away in them. Let's see how they read from Mondstadt to Fontaine. From Mondstadt and the Anima element. The Traveler discussed ways to grasp the formless wind with Paimon. The Traveler and Paimon studied the flapping of a butterfly's wings. From Leeway and the Geo element. The Traveler spoke with Paimon about the final destination of falling stars. The Traveler and Paimon studied the pulse of the mountains. From Inazuma and the Electra element. The Traveler and Paimon discussed the paths by which electricity might flow. The Traveler and Paimon studied the light that flashes through the clouds. From Sumeru and the Dendra element. The Traveler and Paimon observed the flowing edges of grass and leaf. The Traveler and Paimon studied the sounds of plants that sprout after the rain. From Fontaine and the Hydra element. The Traveler studied the ripples in the water with Paimon. The Traveler studied the ebb and flow of the tides with Paimon. As you will notice, these talent descriptions include 2 versions of the phrase, the Traveler and Paimon, or the Traveler with Paimon. Natlin, however, flips the script on its head. From Natlin and the Pyro element, we get, together, the Traveler and Paimon watch the shifting colors of flowing flames. Together, the Traveler and Paimon studied the principles behind an undying flame. So, what are your thoughts on these descriptions? Do you think the current elements will keep the turn of phrase together, or go back to the old with and an? Huffman Smith is one of Teyvat's most interesting NPCs, yet most people learn about his failure as an older brother and decide to hate him immediately. But really, there's more to the character than just being a somewhat shitty older brother and drunkard. Huffman has been working as a Knight of Avernius for at least 3 years before the Mondstadt Archon quest began. His responsibilities include safety patrols alongside restocking and dispensing medication with Swan. Huffman once scolded Alice and Clea for causing trouble. He is also also a member of Barbara's fan club and has received an autograph from Barbara because of his professional personality compared to other fans. If we want to learn more about Huffman, however, we have to look at his younger brother Micah, specifically key parts of Micah's first 3 character stories. When Micah began learning to read, his mother went inspiration gathering abroad with his father accompanying her. During that time, the responsibility of looking after Micah landed in Huffman's hands. However, Huffman had already made the Knights of Avernus his second home. He was preoccupied with work during the day and indulged in drinking with his friends night after night. With Huffman's life lacking organization, how could he look after his little brother? So it was little Micah who looked to take care of both himself and his brother whenever Huffman would return drunk at night. When other children his age were enjoying life, Micah already had learned to stick to an organized schedule, even helping Huffman with everyday chores. Their parents sent them letters every day to prevent their children from worrying, slowly leading into Micah's passion for maps, along with committing the terrain of many locations to memory. Huffman, however, ruined the mood when he broke the news to Micah that the map Mom and Dad had left them was very outdated and not accurately drawn to begin with. Micah thought that perhaps the time would come when the Knights of Avernus would finally have sufficient enough budget to hire experts to deal with matters like map, yet no one knew when something as trivial as cartography could be put into the schedule, which baffled Micah's dream of becoming Mondstadt's expert cartographer. When their parents returned to Mondstadt, they were delighted to hear of Micah's goal and did whatever they could to support him. From then on, Micah spent most of his time in the library, earning the recognition of Lisa Minchie. After a failed expedition with Elon Musk to converse with village rules, resulting in the two being beaten up, Micah began to learn fighting techniques off of his brother Huffman. Micah quickly grasped the basic techniques, having a strong constitution. It just so happened that around this time, the Knights of Avernus had drafted and then planned for an expedition set to depart 3 years later. They were looking for a frontline surveyor who had expertise in cartography. Micah knew this was his chance, but it felt too much like a dream, being daunted by the thought at first that he wasn't worthy for such a role that only the strongest would qualify for. His doubts were dispelled by his father and his older brother Huffman. Most of the Knights are just ordinary people like us, but once we put our strengths together as a team, even the strongest of adventurers would struggle to prove our equal. Thus, Micah sees the opportunity and signed up for her position. Word of Micah signing up for the expedition spread like wildfire throughout the Knights of Avernus, raising anxiety in Micah from unexpectedly becoming the center of attention. Micah was afraid of failing the assessment of a knight, disgracing his father, ruining his brother's career, or worse, the reputation of the Smith family. Due to many members of the family having already joined their rank, the assessment process was public in order to make the selection as fair as possible. Micah was assessed by lead examiner Kaya, and his excellent expedition of teamwork granted him Grandmaster of Arcus recognition. Micah would later join the reconnaissance company led by Eli Lauren. After he joined the Knight, Micah honed his photography skills while investigating locations, receiving pointers from how he might improve his other skills from Barker. While it is true that Huffman unfortunately left Micah to take care of himself and him while drunk, it's also possible that at some point Huffman turned himself around, or is aware of his issues and attempting to work on it. For example, Huffman tells Clea to go to bed at night when most adults wouldn't bother anything to do with children in Teyvat. Though, at the same time, according to Lisa, Huffman still has Micah take care of everything around the house and looks after him while he's drunk. Micah states that it was due to his father and brother's support that he was able to make it through the selection process and become a frontline surveyor. In conclusion, Huffman isn't a monster for his less than organized life, but he also should have done better by his brother. Huffman needs to do more to make it up for Micah, but he is also at the same time still a respectable knight in the roles that he has been assigned. Something that needs to be cleared up when it comes to talking about the First Sky Firmament or Teyvat Sword Border is that Teyvat itself is not actually a simulation. Rather, it is an organic planet that existed long before the border. What exists outside of the border is a heavy amount of abyssal corruption, a catastrophe. As such, the First Sky was created by Thanos, the Heavenly Principles, in order to protect the world. It's not the only time that the Heavenly Colonizer has done something to combat the corrosion of the Abyss. Some of the other efforts included altering the functions of ley lines and the celestial nails. None of these things would have mattered or been done if Teyvat was a simulation. The reason it seems robotic at times is due to the world's isolation and the fact that it is highly advanced technology. If you enjoyed this video and want to hear my takes on anything, comment down below, like something of the lore that you think I should talk about.